Hello, this is a demonstration video for IAM RESTful API framework developed by PSL team. This IAM REST API framework allows application developers to invoke a multitude of IAM operations on IBM security products that include ITAM, ISIM, and IGI. Developers can browse the entire list of APIs and quickly test with the configured sample input data. The input data to the API is a JSON string. API documentation can also be configured without changing any code to reflect the customization. Let us now examine the IAM RESTful API framework UI, which is built on the Swagger UI layer. We are all aware that Swagger is primarily used for adding documentation via its custom annotations. We have now extended this feature to enable any customer-specific documentation per API. IAM RESTful API framework can work with ITAM 5.x, ISIM 6.x, and IGI. Currently, it is configured with ISIM as the backend identity management target. We shall see the entities getting updated in ISIM as and when the actions are triggered via the REST framework. We will be using the following users for our demonstration. User 1 is manager, user 2 is Stephen. The framework provides the hooks to plug in the required sample inputs for these APIs to work. Customers can then change these inputs, which are nothing but structured JSON objects. We will have a quick demonstration for this framework that will cover a simple use case. Following is the use case. Create an organization. Then we will create one user with a minimal set of attributes. We will verify that the user is created. Once the user is created, we will add this user to an organization role. Adding this member user to a role triggers an approval. The manager who is set as approver needs to approve the request, so we will check that this approval is triggered in ISIM first and then use the REST framework to view the same. The manager will approve the activity. Once the approval process is completed, the requested role is assigned and an LDAP account is provisioned. With this information, now we can start with the actual demonstration. To perform any action, user will first need to be authenticated and get an auth token, which will be used in subsequent API calls. This authentication token has an expiration time set. To extend the expiry, token has to be refreshed. To authenticate the user, click Authenticate. Enter a username, that is Stephen, and password. Click Submit. As you can see, a token is generated. This token needs to be sent in the header for subsequent REST API requests. An option is provided to copy it to all places. By just clicking Copy Auth and Token, it will copy it to all places. In any IDM environment, management of organization units is a common thing, and organizations are required to be created. Let us try to see what organizations are present. Click All under Organizations. Ensure that authentication token is already copied. Click on Submit. If the response is 200, it implies that the request has no error. Response body should contain the entire list of organizations. Note that REST framework supports a feature to exclude attributes, but for the demo purpose there isn't any restriction put on. Now let us try to create an organization. Click on Create link under the Organization section. Copy the authentication token if not already copied. Click on Model Schema link that populates the JSON. Model Schema picks up pre-configured JSONs which customers can customize as per their configurations. Update the JSON with new values. Click Submit. The response code 200 implies that the organization is created successfully. Now let us see how user create REST APIs can be invoked. To provision, click on Create link under User section. Copy the authentication token if not already copied. Click on Model Schema link that pulls the JSON. Update the JSON with new values. Click Submit. Response code 200 indicates that there was no error. The output response contains the request ID, which can be used to track request status for these requests. Now let us check whether the user is created in ISIM or not. Let us try to search the user using UID and try to invoke get method for filter operation. Click Submit. REST framework returns JSONs with all attributes of user Stephen. Let us copy the ER global ID attribute, which we will need from here onwards. It is also termed as short DN of the user. As per our use case, we need to add this newly created user to a role. We have already created a role called Portal Administrator. Let us pull out all roles under organization. Navigate to Roles, All Roles. We will need to enter the short DN for the organization. Copy the auth token if not already done. Click Submit. The response code 200 implies that there was no error. The output response contains all the roles within this organization. Copy the ER global ID of role, that is Portal Administrator, to which we would like to add our user. To add member, navigate to Role, Add Members. Ensure that authentication token is populated. Enter the short DN of the role which you want to add members. Click on Model Schema link that populates the JSON. Update the JSON with new values. We need to enter the user's short DN. Click on Submit. Response code 200 implies that the user is added successfully in role. To verify whether the approval is routed to user manager or not, let us log into ISIM console with user manager and its password. Click Login. Navigate to View Activities under Management Activities. Click View Activities. Here we can see all the activities routed for this user. Manager can approve or reject any activity from here, but we will do this using our REST web app in next few steps. To achieve the same via REST API framework, let us use manager's credentials and get his or her authentication token. To authenticate user, enter a username, that is manager, and its password. Click Submit. A token is generated. To copy the token, click Copy Auth Token. Value of this token gets populated to all token related text boxes of other APIs. Navigate to Activities, All. Now let us try to get all activities by clicking Submit. In the response we can see all the activities routed for user manager. Now we can copy the ID of the activity which we want to process, that is accept or reject. Let us approve the request on behalf of user manager. Ensure that the authentication token is populated. Click on Model Schema link to populate JSON. Update the JSON with new values, that is provide the activity ID which we copied in previous step. And update the approval or rejection comments. Click Submit. A 200 response code indicates that there was no error. We can verify whether the user is added to role as member using ISIM console. Click on Manage Roles. Enter role name. Click Search. Hover on black arrow beside the role name. Select Manage User Members. Click on Search. Now we will be able to see new member added in the role. Now navigate to Manage Services. Select service type as LDAP profile. Click Search. Hover on the arrow beside service name. Select Accounts. Click on Search button. Now we can see LDAP account configured for user that we added as a member to a particular role. Let's go back to our REST web app. Now let us see that the user has role as well as account. Navigate to User, All. Ensure that the authentication token is copied. Click Submit. Response code 200 indicates that there was no error. The output response body contains all user details with all accounts, roles and entitlements. Apart from this, let us have a quick look at different but important APIs. First one is Account. Account API is allowed to perform various operations on account entities. As one can see, the operations are quite self-explanatory. Here account's ER global ID is required to uniquely identify the account. For account creation, the JSON needs owner short DN and service short DN to whom the account is to be provisioned. These are the APIs to restore, suspend, update as well as change password. Service APIs allows to perform various operations on service entity. Again, the operations are self-explanatory. Similarly, role API allows to perform various operations on role entity. Now let us have a look at the configuration part and customization of the IAM RESTful API framework. Log into VM using WinSAP. User needs to update the configuration details in PSL_IAM-rest.properties file. The file is located in apps/IAM/data. Click OK. Open the file. Here we can update the configuration of backend application that we use, for example ISIM in this case. Configuration of REST provider classes, installation path of ISIM, some properties that are required to make ISIM client calls. In our case, these properties are commented out as ISIM is deployed on the same machine. Also, there are some other .json files which are being used. First one is the PSL custom API doc.json. This file contains the description text of APIs. Then we have the JSON folder. It contains all the model schemas being used. This framework is bundled as a WAR file, which is deployed on WebSphere server. Path to the file is OPT, IBM, WebSphere, App Server, Profiles, App Server 1, Install Apps, Node, REST Web App.ear, PSL IAM REST.war. In similar way, we can perform many other use cases. Thank you very much for watching this video.